Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting Daily December. This is Daily December 2015, day 14 or 14. Flipping the camera is weird. Today, I want to talk about my reaction to an article I read recently. The article itself is called "Get Rich or Die Vlogging: The Sad Economics of Internet Fame," and it's written by a woman named Gabby Dunn. Um, and in it, it's a really interesting read because she talks about kind of the shadowy aspects of YouTube and the actual financial aspects of the fact that she actually belongs to a channel called, I think it's Just Between Us, is what it's called, and it's a really good channel, to be 100% honest. Just Between Us, there we go. She and her best friend, what is it, Allison Raskin. They have this channel called Just Between Us. They got, I think, just over 500,000 subscribers. And she talks about how she lives paycheck to paycheck. She lives in a very, is very much not wealthy. And she actually has to work a part-time job in order to make ends meet. And she brings up a relatively common thing that I see on a regular basis for people that want to do this professionally, to be professional vloggers and things like that, is the fact that money is always an issue, and a lot of people don't really understand how to be successful from a business aspect. And my kind of response to this, and this is something that due to my experience in the entertainment industry and the fact that I was training to become a professional actor for quite a few years, this is something that the entertainment industry and actors in general have seen for decades. People that think, oh well, I want to become an actor because I'm such a great actor and I want to do this because it's something I'm passionate about, and this is what I want to make my career. It's what I want to make my living off of. And they never, quote unquote, make it because they don't understand the aspects of business that are involved in being an actor. And now YouTubers are coming into the same thing. Now it's becoming a legitimate source of income for quite a few people. People aren't understanding that, oh my God, I have to run this as a business. The things that I tend to focus on when I'm looking into a new field or someone talks to me about something that I do have experience in, whether it's retail, whether it's the entertainment industry, whether it's YouTube or conventions, things like that, my response is always the same. You need to understand barriers to entry. You need to know what your barriers to entry in this particular field is. You need to know the minimum requirements to be able to be in this field. And you need to understand the paying your dues aspect of this. Paying your dues is a term that is used all over, and it's basically the shit work that you have to do in order to get to the point where you can actually support yourself. In retail, paying your dues is working the hourly job, and cleaning up bathroom spills and shit stains, and running a cash register. That's paying your dues. You have to do that before you will get into a management job, unless you have a degree in business management, and then they give you an ASM position and you tank the store that you're working at and get fired. Yeah, you have to understand what is paying your dues in your particular industry. In being an actor, paying your dues is getting paid next to nothing, doing a lot of extra work, and having to work sometimes 2 or 3 part-time jobs in order to be able to make ends meet. A lot of people don't realize things like Robert De Niro waited tables for a decade while he was trying to get and he is an incredibly talented actor and is very successful now. He waited tables for the first decade of his career, and he felt horrible about it. And this is very, very common. This is how you make it in the entertainment industry. Is you get treated like shit and you live in poverty for years before you can make a successful career out of it. That's the way that it's built. And it weeds out a lot of the people that aren't willing to do that. The barriers to entry in the entertainment industry are super high. If I want, like, I am a relatively good actor, in my opinion. I've had some really great roles. I've done a lot of study into acting in general, very specific techniques. I've learned the Stanislavski, his method for characterization in that. I've learned animal work. Like I've done a lot of work to become an actor. If I was to move to LA today, just pick up, go to LA, and try and start a career in acting, I would fail. I would probably end up in a gutter, and I'd have to either come home or I would die out there from starvation. And the reason is the barriers to entry for the entertainment industry, specifically film acting, are very, very high, but they're very, very defined. If I go out there, the way that it works, if I go out there and I don't have a Screen Actors Guild card, that's your membership into SAG-AFTRA. I will never get an agent without a SAG card. They will not represent me. I could be the greatest actor ever. They will not represent me unless I already have a SAG-AFTRA card. Getting a SAG card is unbelievably difficult because the only way you can get it is you have to get these 3 vouchers. The way that you get these 3 vouchers is you have to be in a Screen Actors Guild movie, or a television show, since it's part of AFTRA now. In order to be in one of those productions, you have to be a member of the Screen Actors Guild. And you see the kind of, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. In order to be in the Screen Actors Guild, you have to have already been in the Screen Actors Guild. The way that it works is eventually they will run out of SAG-AFTRA members that they can hire, and so they will have a very limited amount of spots open, generally as extras, that they can hire non-union workers for. Your job is to get one of these very, very limited positions, and you have to get 3 of those before you can apply for membership. Once you apply for membership, you have to pay your first year's dues, which is generally around $1,000. It may be a little bit more since I haven't checked into dues in quite a few years. That is all the bare minimum before I even move to LA and start looking for an agent. Is I have to have that, and that can take years. Okay, now I've done that. In order to get jobs in the entertainment industry, in the film industry, in Hollywood, you must have an agent. That's just the way the system works. Can you live without an agent? Yes. It is unbelievably difficult, and generally you are able to succeed more through luck than through actual work and effort. It's in your best interest to get an agent. Everybody has an agent down there. And if you get a good one, it will definitely benefit you. How you get an agent is you need a SAG-AFTRA card, and you have to be paying an acting teacher and be actively taking lessons from a very well-known teacher. If you don't do that, no agency will look at your resume. They won't look at your headshots. Another thing you need very expensive, very good quality headshots. These are all things before you can even start trying to become an actor. This is your barrier to entry, minimum requirements to do this. So not only do you have to know how to act, you have to understand the craft that you're going to be into. You have to have all these other things before you can even start. And people go to Hollywood all the time thinking, well, I don't need those. I can just, because I'm that good. And it doesn't work. There are always those few rare people that get discovered. And they are exceptions to the rules, and people try to use them as the rule. And that's not how it works. And then once you become an actor, you have to understand the business aspect of it. You have to understand how you make money. You have to understand the tax codes for being an actor, because you're technically an independent contractor, meaning you pay all the taxes on your wages, which is expensive. You have to understand that you, because your wages are not getting paid, you need to be doing quarterly estimated taxes, and you need to be paying them quarterly. And if you're not doing that, when tax time comes around, you have this massive sum that you owe that you weren't expecting. And you don't get money back in a tax return. You end up owing every single year. And, you know, these are all aspects of that. The same thing is true about YouTube. If you want to be a YouTuber, if you want to do this professionally, you cannot treat this as a hobby. You have to treat it as a profession. You have to understand the business behind it. The first collaborative channel that I helped create, which is defunct now, is one of the members, the reason that I left, one of the members was very focused on, let's just keep throwing money at the channel because that's what you have to do to be a good YouTuber. He went out and spent all this money on filming equipment, which was, again, is very useful. He spent money on ads. He went and incorporated the actual company itself. He started trademarking our stuff. You know, this is all stuff that technically is good, but we weren't to that point yet. We didn't even have content we were creating at this point. This was all speculative, and we didn't have the money to be able to put this forth. We needed to have a quality product before we started putting money into it, and we didn't. And that's the barrier to entry and minimum requirements of YouTube. You do have to have, if you want to become like professional and be able to do it, you do need to have good quality equipment. And you need to have something you can show. You need to have talent, whether that is talent that has been molded and created through years and years of work in perfecting yourself, or whether it's just natural born talent that you kind of harness into it. You have to have a quality product to show, and you have to have decent equipment. Do you need to have top of the line to start off? No, I'm recording on 720p right now, which is less than what I should be. I should be recording everything 1080p because that's how it works. However, this is the way I do it because that's what I have. Reading this article, she goes into a lot of different things about the expenses, like the things that she has to pay. She has to pay her film crew. She lives in Los Angeles, which the cost of living in Los Angeles in general is unbelievably expensive. It really, really is. And she mentions that, well, technically I could live outside of Los Angeles, but that limits my ability to collab and everything like that, which is technically true. That is a true statement. However, understanding the paying your dues aspect of being a YouTuber is understanding that you can't really spend money on things that you can't afford. One of the barriers to entry to a traditional business is creating a business plan and getting a business loan. In general, you will always be told never put your own money into your startup business. It's a dumb idea because all it'll do is bankrupt you when it fails. No, use someone else's money. And the way that you do that used to be you would build a business plan, you would submit it to a bank, they'd look over like 3 pages of it, excuse me, and then they'd make an arbitrary decision on whether or not they would give it to you. The fact that the bank didn't really look at the entire business plan you made up was not the benefit of making the business plan. The benefit of making the business plan is you sat there and you created your first year budget. You sat there and looked at all the costs you're going to have. You sat there and made projections about what your income was going to be based on what other companies similar to you have made and based on what you think you're going to be able to do. You know, this is all part of building the business that most YouTubers have no idea how to do that. Have no idea what that is. So, like in Miss Dunn's case, she mentions that she lives in LA, which is really expensive, but you have to for collabs. She mentions that she has to pay a film crew. She mentions that they just incorporated their company. It's Gallison LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, which is actually relatively simple to do, but it requires business know-how that a lot of people don't have. And she's describing all of these costs. Were I to give her advice about how to make herself more financially stable, which my advice, again, she has so much more experience than I have, that me giving advice to her would kind of like be me giving advice to Robert De Niro about how to have a successful acting career. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but my background is in business. I would probably tell her, you need to take the last month of production that you've done and break down everything. Break down every cost that you had. Write it down. Break down all the money that you made, whether it was from AdSense, whether it was from sponsored content. Break that all down. And then look and figure out how much money you personally need to live. Right now, that equation is not balanced. Right now, you're spending more money than you are making if you were to pay yourself the amount that would make you live comfortably. That's just how it works. And that's what she's kind of complaining about. then you need to start looking at what costs are not necessary. Is living in LA important for collaborations? Yes. If you cannot afford to live in LA, it doesn't matter that you can do these collaborations. They're not paying for themselves, so perhaps moving to an area that's a little bit more difficult for collabs, but has a significantly better rent price is what you should do. I watched her content. It's actually really good. I hadn't watched her stuff before. I was familiar with her through some other stuff that I had seen where she talks a lot about sexuality and things like that, which is not a topic that I'm particularly, keen on watching YouTube videos for. But her scripted content with Allison is so funny. She's very, very good, very talented writer, and the persona that she puts on is really, really funny. However, when I was watching a few of her videos, and again, I haven't watched all of them, so it's possible that I'm just missing some, I never saw anything that really necessitates a camera crew. Does having a camera crew help? Oh, God, yes. I would love to be able to pay someone to run my camera for me when doing things like Lore Explorer. Like, if I had a cameraman, I would not take nearly as long to create Lore Explorers as I do. Because one of the things that's most frustrating about doing is setting up the camera, making sure everything works the way it's supposed to, making sure I'm in focus and all that. Because all I have is this tiny little screen to be able to gauge it off of, and a lot of times I can't tell if I'm in focus on that little screen. I can't tell if the shot is framed right. I can't really tell lighting because what I see on that little screen doesn't always reflect what the actual lighting conditions are, and I don't find that out until I plug it into my editing software. Um, so that's probably what I don't see any need. Like the big kind of advantage to having a camera operator is you can have them do things like pan and zoom, and you can have moving shots and things like that that you simply can't have with like a tripod. However, at least the videos I saw, none of them had moving shots. None of them really required anything beyond a tripod. So yes, is it nice to have a camera crew? Yeah, but if you can't afford it, you don't need it. If there is videos where you really want to have a cameraman there and you want to do moving shots, you can hire a camera crew just for that, as opposed to having a camera crew that you always have on hand. Um, that's part of running it as a business, is sitting there going, do I have the money to have a camera crew? Do I make enough money that having a camera crew, I'm going to get the investment back? Do I have enough money that I'm making from this that I can invest in a camera, and I'm going to actually see money from that as opposed to losing money? That is what it means to run this as a business. If the argument is, well, no, I want to do this because it's fun and I'm passionate about it, that's great. That's a hobby. And if you want to do YouTube as a hobby, congratulations, go for it. It's a great hobby to do. However, if you're going to treat it as a hobby, don't get upset when you don't make money off of it. If you want to be professional at this, you have to treat this as a business, and you have to understand the business aspects of it. If you're not willing to do that, then you're just running a really expensive hobby and working, shit jobs for nothing. So, while, like I said, the article itself is really, really interesting, I think it shows the underlying problem that the entertainment industry has had for years. People don't understand the business of being a YouTuber, and they don't understand how to do it, and then they get really upset when it doesn't work out the way they think it should. Now, this is by no means kind of a slight against Miss Dunn or Miss Raskin. They are brilliant. I think they're very, very talented. I just think they could use some help on the business aspects of it. If either of you two are actually watching this, first of all, why are you watching this? You have much better things to do with your time than watch a tiny little channel like mine. But if you are watching this, I think you're very, very talented. However, you would benefit greatly from reducing your costs and getting some business advice. Spend a little bit of money to find a business consultant that can sit there and walk you through how to run your channel more like a business. And then perhaps, especially since 500,000 subscribers is a significant number. And I have seen YouTubers that have significantly less subscribers than you doing very, very well for themselves simply because they understand the business aspects of it. It is very difficult. It requires a lot more than talent and ingenuity. Um, and it's not something that everyone can do on their own. However, if it's something that anyone wants to consider, there are so many books out there about how to run a business that you can find online for free. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of weeding through really, really bad business advice. But yeah, it's worth it, and it can make your life a hell of a lot easier. Money problems are one of the biggest stressors in the world. Um, I personally have panic attacks when I have to deal with money and things like that. So yeah. Anyway, this has been a really long, kind of rambly vlog type thing, but like I said, this is something that I found really, really interesting, and it's actually a relatively simple fix. Um, if you want to do YouTube professionally, fantastic, do it. It's very, very difficult, and there's a very, very good chance that you will never be able to support yourself just through YouTube. However, if you work hard and if you treat it as a business, you have a significantly better chance of being able to support yourself than if you just get in it to be famous or to make a lot of money. You're going to fail pretty spectacularly. All right, so that's all for me today. If you guys have comments about this, like I said, I'm gonna leave a link to the article in the description. Give it a read. If for nothing else, then each click helps support at least the website. It's on fusion.net. At least the website that she wrote this for. And that will kind of indicate to fusion.net that she is a worthwhile contributor and perhaps get her more work. So, just click on it and read it simply because it's a way to support Gabby Dunn when she's having a difficult time. Otherwise, like I said, it's a brilliant, it's a very well written article and it's very interesting to read. But understand that the problem she's describing is not so much the shadier evil aspects of YouTube, and it's very adequately describing just a group of people that don't understand the business aspects of a business, and it's coming back and making it very difficult in their life. So again, that's all for me today. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another Daily December. All right, bye bye.